pedals here that I think you guys are really gonna like. I see you guys in the comment section all the time asking me to cover more budget-friendly pedals and gear, which is why I'm really excited to check out and show you guys these ALABS ambience pedals. There's a range of 4 pedals in this range, I believe. Here we have the reverb and delay, the delay being the Timeslip, and the reverb being the Cetus. They're both multi-mode, fully featured, on a bit more of a budget. And I'll tell you the price at the end of the video, but I think you're going to be really impressed by what these pedals offer, all the different features, the actual sounds themselves, most importantly. Just a few of the headlines before we jump into some tones with these. Each one has 9 different studio quality ambient algorithms, along with the kind of normal stuff. You got your tape delays and analog delays. You also got your springs, your plates and halls. True stereo on both, which is really cool. Although I'm a mono guitar player, we're going to hear them in mono today. Analog drive-through, which if you are keen about your clean tone, then that is pretty much essential when it comes to digital pedals. Each one also has different sort of expression modes with the foot switch. So if the reverb, you can freeze the reverb sound, and with the delay you also have tap tempo. Both are also kind of really powerful signal processors, both 32-bit processing. Really cool stuff, which when you consider that they are budget pedals is really impressive. Yes, maybe they don't have quite the finesse of, you know, 500, 600 pound pedals that do similar things, but when you know how much these cost and the options that they're giving you, I think they're pretty impressive. So let's hook them up and get some tones. Just a quick one before we get stuck back into some tones. If you're enjoying the video so far, it would really help me out if you would go down and click subscribe, like the video, even leave a comment. It all helps me out. I think still about 90% of my regular viewers do not subscribe to the channel, and that would be really awesome if you're one of the 90% would go and hit that subscribe button. In fact, let me show you. I've got my YouTube analytics up right now. Can you see that? 90% not subscribed. And that's regular viewers. So people who are click on my videos a lot are not subscribed. So that would really help me out. Okay, so we got them both hooked up. I've got my Man Cutlass going into these 2 pedals, and then I'm actually going into Neural DSP plugin, the Morgan amp suite, and we're running a Princeton type of thing. Super clean, super dry, sounds like this. Let's start with the reverb actually, because I think there's some really cool sounds in the reverb that you guys are gonna like, especially when we start to get a bit more experimentative, I don't know. So the first algorithm looks to be a hall. It's a sign of a good hall reverb emulation when it actually sounds like they've captured the tone of a real room, the sort of ambience of a real room. You can sort of hear the little reflections within that. So we do have a pre-delay knob, which increases the time between you playing and the reverb kind of engaging. This is really good for separating your playing from the reverb sound, so it kind of doesn't get too washy, but also can emulate more of that room sound if you have a bit of a slap back in there. So you can hear there's a bit of a delay before the reverb comes in. I like that a lot. I usually have that on a load of my reverbs. We can also brighten up the reverb with the bright. Personally, I usually like a darker reverb though, so I might turn that down. Great room sound. Let's move on to, well, actually that was the hall. So the room as well is going to be a slightly smaller version of that. It's much tighter. You can hear the differences. We'll move on to something like the church, which is going to be an even bigger version of the hall. Start to get really ambient when we get to the church mode, especially when you start to crank up that decay. Spring reverb. Now, spring reverbs are the hardest to get right in a digital emulation because there's so much going on with the spring reverb. All the little reflections, the drippiness we call it, of a good amp spring reverb is so hard to get right digitally. And I think ALABS have actually done a pretty good job here. So you listen to it and you'll hear the drip, you'll hear the springiness. If I had the guitar turned up, you would. So you can hear that drip. I think they've done a pretty good job with that. Definitely that would be good as a amp reverb replacement. Say your amp didn't have reverb, that would be great. Then we got another classic reverb, a plate sound. A plate reverb is just one of those reverbs that can do everything. It can be an always on, it can be ambient, it can just give a bit of context to your sound. Just such a great sound. Cool, so those are all the sort of more standard reverbs in this pedal. All of them super functional, all of them work really well. But I think some of the more ambient, weirder reverb sounds in this pedal are going to get you guys really excited. So this is like a swell reverb, which is gonna, I'm assuming it's gonna do what it says on the tin. You may have noticed this little switch here, and this kind of changes what the foot switch does when you hold it down. So in this mode, we have a freeze function. So essentially it can freeze your reverb tone as long as you are holding down the foot switch, which is a little hard to demonstrate with your hand while you're playing, but I'll give it a go. And that will go for as long as I'm holding the foot switch down, and then take it off and it will naturally decay out again. Really cool to have just on the fly straight away. Classic shimmer, always good to have a shimmer. So this algorithm is called Cloudy. I'm assuming it's going to be some sort of take on a famous or now famous cloud reverb. Very nice, very pillowy and ambient. We like that. This last one is Wave. I really like this one. I think what they did with that is they added a little bit of, almost a bit of noise to the reverb sound, a bit of audio noise to make it sound like crashing, rolling waves. And I think it actually works really effectively. Some really great sounds in there, from functional, everyday sounds to more interesting, weirder sounds. Some of them, like the wave and the cloudy sound, I really love. Let's move on to the Timeslip delay. We have some more everyday sounds like your analog, your tape, and your digital, which we'll try and get through really quick. And then again, we have some of the more interesting sounds. So this is like a tape delay. More of a digital delay, so it's more pristine. An analog, which is usually my favorite, so it's more of a crunchy delay. I really love a reverse delay, especially combining it with a bit of ambience. You can get weird. Great for layering and stacking in a mix. If you want just something a little weird to creep up on you when you're writing, reverse delay is great. Let's keep going with these. What's this? It's like a warp delay. Sounds like there's a bit of vibrato on that. Sounds nice. Again, if you combine this with some reverb. So this is like an octave sound, but I bet you could get your guitar to sound almost like a 12 string with this. Let's see if we can get there. I don't know, for a faux 12 string, that's pretty good. I think that would fool a few audiences. Yeah, this one's like a delay sound with a wah pedal on it. Not my favourite. So a quick overview of the sounds in each of the pedals. Believe it or not, we're only really scratching the surface at this point as well. We do have some secondary functions when we start to look at the switch, the foot switch, and this middle knob here. They start to do some different things depending on how you have them set. So there's even further you can take it, and you could start combining them as well. And when you consider that the price of two of these is still less than a Strymon pedal, significantly less than a Strymon pedal, that's really impressive. In fact, let's have a look. So right now on Amazon, the reverb pedal, the Cetus, is £109.99. I think that's really good considering all the different functions, all the sounds in it that are so usable, and they sound good to me. It's stereo. It's built in a metal enclosure, which you don't get all the time. I think to finish off this video, we'll start to get some tones combining the two, and it's basically all the ambience you could ever need. As I said, buying these two together is less than a Strymon pedal that just does one of these things, so consider that. these pedals are a bit of a steal, and the build quality is really, really good for the price. The tones are inspiring. I get lost. You know, that track at the intro, I was really, really inspired by these pedals writing that song. I think they're great. I think they're great, and I'll definitely be using them on pedal boards. Check out the ALABS, Timeslip, and Cetus. I think you're going to really dig them.